Supervisor meeting.
Give me just a second, I'll make sure.
All right, go right ahead.
Start meeting. Here.
Okay. At this time, I would like to ask Cannon if he would lead us in our invocation, followed by
Welcome to the Prince
Pledge of
Edward
Allegiance.
County Conference Line. Please stand by. You'll be joined in shortly.
Sure, bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for giving us the opportunity to come together as a community. We ask you to bless us who have made the journey here and bless our ride home. And we ask that you allow us to function as a family and a community tonight to do the greater good for all. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, I'll ask for any conflict of interest.
Mr. Chairman, I will abstain from voting on the IDA appointment since my father will be up for appointment.
Thank you. Recognitions.
Is an opportunity for the Board of Supervisors to recognize achievements in our community with a focus on the accomplishments of students, employees, and our citizen volunteers who serve the county of Prince Edward. The board would like to recognize Martha Jones as Employee of the Month for June. Martha goes out of her way to be courteous to everyone she comes in contact with. She goes above and beyond her assigned duties, wanting to come in on her scheduled off days to fill in. Martha is always very professional in her appearance and actions, whether dealing with the public or county employees. She has an ask and you shall receive attitude. We are lucky to have an individual of her caliber as a member of the Prince Edward County family.
And if we could get the board members to please stand and back, keep going back.
Bring it in tight like this. Come on.
The board would also like to congratulate the following employees on their retirement. The pride and dedication they have shown during their tenure at Prince Edward County is appreciated and each of them will be missed. Vicki Cardwell? Come on, Vicki.
Thank you.
Stay up there. Come on.
Hey, Bill,
Got two more to go.
we got some more.
Robert Goldman? Larry Franklin.
You can stay back here, Larry, it'll be all right. See you guys.
Yeah, I'll need that.
We've come to our part of our meeting here for public participation. Do we have a sign-up sheet? So we've got 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 11 people that have signed up. We're going to ask for a 2-minute limit. First one up, Chief Dallas Tinsley.
2 minutes.
We've allotted 20 minutes, and we've got all these people in line.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman, board members. Most of you know me. I'm going to tell you something about me you probably did not know. I am a Vietnam veteran and proud of my service in the military. I don't know how much you know about awards and stuff, but I'm wearing the Purple Heart shirt, which means I was wounded in combat fighting for my country and the flag it stands for. 4 times. 2 Bronze Stars for bravery fighting for that flag. And I find it disrespectful that the county has decided to limit the size flag that can be flown in the patriotic citizens' yards in Prince Edward County. I find it very disrespectful to the veterans, the families of the veterans, those who gave their lives in service of their country, now to be told they have to limit their respect to the American flag. I just find that just appalling. Flags are a symbol, not a sign. And I understand part of the reason for this is the vulgar signs in Prince Edward County have offended so many folks, and are absolutely wrong. But to limit the size of a flag is not the way to take care of a vulgar sign. Address the sign, not the flag. I am proud of my service, and you as American citizens should be just as proud of that flag as I am, and do away with this silly ordinance that limits the size of the flag. It should only be limited by the size of the pole that it supports, and that only. Thank you.
Next, Derek. Copeland.
Thank you, Board. And last time I forgot to introduce myself properly, so this time I will. Derek Koblentz from Prospect, and thank you for letting me speak tonight. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. I'm also here to talk about the flag. I, along with many others, are concerned that the county may continue to restrict the flag size. I would recommend that the language restricting flag size be eliminated and that the sole limiting factor be the pole height. Furthermore, I believe that a simple inspection by the county of new flagpoles taller than 20 feet is sufficient, and that no yearly fee or other permits should be required. Thank you.
Earl Wallace.
Yes, I too am a Vietnam vet. I was not wounded, but I did serve part of 4 years. I saw men die. I was at Da Nang. Everything that came in or out of our corps in Vietnam came through Da Nang. I saw literally thousands of body bags because of people who died for that flag. It was ironic that every member of this board, and I took note of each of you, you pledged allegiance to that flag. Let it alone. Could I get an amen to that? Pisgah Church, I've only been there 38 years. They can't find a real preacher. But anyway, our flagpole is too tall, and as soon as I can raise the money, our flag will be larger than what you're specifying in one of your gizmos. And I just tell you, let it alone. Stay away from it, okay? We need to support our flag and not make rules governing an individual who owns the property could fly the flag in a proper manner. The one on 15 South, especially at night, just brings goosebumps to me. If you've ever served the flag, you understand what I'm trying to say. Yes, amen? We call it the Stars and Stripes, the red, white, and blue, but it's best known by the nickname given it by an old sea captain, simply who called it Old Glory. And it's Old Glory, and it's glory to me. And I tell you what, it bothers me when this board wants to limit folks who want to fly the flag. My time is up, but I tell you what, I'm an American by birth, a Christian by the new birth, and a Southern Baptist by conviction. If that don't set well, repent and I'll forgive you.
I know this young man by the name of Spike, good friend of mine. Spike?
I can't follow that.
Step up, young man.
Only
Step
one
up.
I was playing ball. I would like to say I got the utmost respect for Dallas. I've known him forever. And Earl, well, I don't know, but he is if you need a nap, go to Church of Pisgah. There's a happy median for everything. The flag is kind of, people dig in their heels for men like that right there. One near dear to me, you too, Lieutenant General Sam Wilson. Anybody from Rice know him? He walked in the rain past where that flag is right now to come register so he could go fight in a war and possibly die as a bugler at 16. He believed in it, we believe in it. Everybody here believes in it, don't you? Everybody believes in the flag. We have to temper that with letting them make their mistakes. Was an elected person. I know we're all idiots because we're stupid until we run. But we can get along as a county, as a region. It's easier to do than we think. There's an A side, a B side, and then there's a C. Old school, agreed? There's a common ground. We can come to a common ground and not be silly. I love Prince Edward County. Kind of like Bill, but don't tell him. Thank y'all.
Vicky Page.
My name is Vicki Page, and I'm here tonight because I have a keen interest in Agenda Item 15, but I thought while I was here, I might as well come and talk to you all about what the Friends of the Library are doing to help prevent summer slide. The Little Free Library Committee, headed by Friends Board member Connie Seaburn, has begun filling the Little Free Libraries in our county with books that come from the Prince Edward County Public Schools Summer Reading List. We went through the list. We have purchased books. The Rotary Club of Farmville very graciously gave us a $1,000 grant for the purchase of books for the Little Free Libraries, mainly for the upper grades, because those books are way more expensive than the lower grades. So we have purchased a lot of books. We estimate that we'll put about 800 summer reading books specifically from the summer reading list into the 5 Little Free Libraries that the Friends maintain in Darlington Heights, Meharron, Prospect, Rice, and Worsham. And we also assist the Parkview Gardens Little Free Library by putting some reading books in there as well. This summer reading program was started in June 2015 following the installation of the first Little Free Library at Jenkins, Blue and Gray, in November of 2014. Each summer book is labeled Summer Reading Book, Please Read and Return, with the hope that people will read the books and then return them to the summer library, the Little Free Library, so that others can read the books as well. At the end of the summer, we take an inventory of the books that have been returned to us, and then we start the collection of books all over again so that the following year we can start the program anew. So anyway, I just wanted to share that good news with you that our Little Free Libraries are functioning. We have volunteers that go every week. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Jesse Yates. Jesse? Jesse Yates? Oh.
Finally sit by your wife.
I want to be just short and sweet, and thank y'all for letting me speak tonight. My concern was the dump site down in Rice, how good it looks. It's a beautiful place. I mean, it's just too nice to throw trash away. But for us old people, I want to know how we're supposed to throw it over in the dumpsters. If you got something heavy, how you gonna get it in these 8 and 9 foot dumpsters for however tall they are? But it's something y'all all need to look at before you do any more sites. Thank y'all, and leave the flag alone.
Mr. Chairman, if I can just answer Jesse. Just one of the things we're looking at is it's a steel platform. Our properties committee at our last meeting, we reviewed, and we're in the process of getting some fabricated, so hopefully they'll be at the Rice site. It's close to opening the new site as we can, but allow folks to get up, and so you're much lower level, not have to lift up way up over your head.
Yeah, the heavy stuff is almost impossible for me to get up in that. And I know other people worse shape than I am. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Ian Brock, please. Mr. Brock.
Ian Brock, appreciate being here today. In regards to the flag, which is kind of hard to follow up behind some of these people, but it's again reiterating, opposed to limiting how large flag can be, the pole. You know, it feels like restricting how patriotic we can be on our own property. And that's all I would say about it, but appreciate it.
Thanks.
Mr. Amos? Joshua Amos?
Thank you, Board. Joshua Amos, Lee District, Mount Pleasant Road. I spoke last time about the poll and everything, and Mr. Jones had said something about making the rules where the poll would sacrifice or suffice the size of the flag, and that would be great. It would be awesome. I still feel bad that our county is pushing us, you know, to have to be here and waste our time on our own property to do what we can and what we should be able to do, since we pay for it and pay our taxes, and these people fought for it and so on. Another thing is, it seems like everybody gets offended by something around here and they want to take it out on everybody. But I'm offended by a lot of things, and I don't go cry about it to everybody. I was at Sheetz a little while ago filling up my truck with gas and smelled marijuana and had offensive music beside me. I didn't scream at that guy, tell him to cut it off. People need to just leave people alone on their property. Let them do what they want to do. I don't care if somebody has a pride flag next door or Black Lives Matter or Confederate flag. It's their land. They do what they want. As long as they're not encroaching on mine, it's fine. And I just feel like we need to come to a common ground to where everybody's happy and just stop fussing and fighting over this. Thank you.
Looks like Chris Bartz.
Good evening. My name is Chris Burks, Lockett District, Lockett Road, Rice. I wanted to speak tonight about the emergency ordinance to signage that was adopted by the board April 12, 2022. This is a tool the county of Prince Edward has used to harass citizens of the county that pay taxes here, that send their kids to school here, that shop here, and are raised here. There is so much other stuff the Board of Supervisors need to do than pick on citizens of this county. It is our private property we pay taxes on and should be able to fly a flag to the size of the pole. If someone wants to fly their underwear on a pole, so be it. It's their property. This is a communist ordinance. If a flag blocks visibility somewhere to be unsafe, then yes, something needs to be addressed. I called Amelia County after Doug Stanley said it was 50 square foot there. They said it is 50 square foot, but a flag was not considered signage. A flag is designed to be replaced due to normal wear and tear and should never be classified as a sign. Taking down a flag from a permanently installed flagpole and replacing it with another flag constitutes erecting a new sign is a stretch. A new flag, particularly the same flag on the same flagpole, is simply a continuation of that flag. The town council at last year's meeting after the emergency ordinance went into effect was not happy how it was going to affect businesses in town with their signs. I agree with District 1 Supervisor Harrison Jones to suspend the current ordinance and leaving it up to the flagpole height to determine the size of the flag that he made a motion on and was seconded by District 6 Board of Supervisor David Emmert at the May 9th, 2023 meeting. I'm asking the board to suspend this nonsense and harassment against the citizens. There are citizens here that support this and won't speak for reasons and would like to ask them to stand up to show your support for the board suspending this ordinance.
Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you and your time to let us speak. Thank y'all.
Gary Gibbertson. Looks like Giberson. Gary?
Like Gary, yeah. Let's go on to the next one.
We'll move on to the next person. Peter Gurr, please.
I support the emergency ordinance. Okay, on May 29th, I participated with the memorial parade in Washington, D.C. I am a member of a Taiwan Veteran Association in Washington, D.C., and there is a flag code. So it means the American flag is the biggest one. Okay, if the American flag is alone, it's in the front center. If it is with the other flags, it is always on the right. It also mentioned that American flag is always bigger or the same size as the other flags. No flag can be bigger than the American flag. Because, so I support Jerry Thompson. Jerry Thompson said the flags are same. Okay, it means, for example, during the parade, so there were over 170 organizations participated. All bring the same size of American flag. So for us, we also brought our Taiwan flag, but we keep the same size. So it's a universal understanding. So American flag and other flags, the same size. Okay, for example, I taught at the high school before. So for the JROTC, when they presented the code, you see the American flag, the flag of Commonwealth of Virginia, and the military flag are the same size. So I support the emergency ordinances.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ask for Gary one more time. Anyone on the line who wants to speak? Yes, sir.
Can I speak?
Yes, sir.
First of all, I thank all supervisors and everyone that's here.
State your name and where you're located, please.
Rex Williams. I've got 3, I guess, businesses in Prince Edward County. Pastor church for almost 40 years here. Have 3rd Street record and Lost Creek Cabin Rentals. And I appreciate y'all working with me, all 3 businesses. I love this flag. I don't want any limitations of the American flag. I'm originally from Mississippi, so forgive me for that. But, I mean, down there, you'll see people, that fly a flag said to eat more possum. Now, I'm a sharecropper. I was born without water and electricity. But if they want to fly that flag and eat more possum, I'm going to say more possum to them. But let's have this American flag. It's everything that is independent to us. That is our freedom. When it stands, we're free. When we limit it, we limited our freedom. God bless.
Yes.
My name should be on the list, Stan Smith. Is that not there?
Don't see it, sir, but you're welcome to come up and speak if you.
I filled it out. I'm the work from here. I'll be real brief. I am Stan Smith, the proud grandfather of Harrison Jones, and very proud. And what really I think is at stake here is freedom. I mean, we can talk around it all we want with all the different issues, but freedom is a very important thing. I mean, we're in Virginia, folks. This is the birthplace of the nation. A lot of people died for this freedom, and we've heard from some of them tonight. And I can't imagine, in my wildest imagination, anyone who has any heart for America and for Virginia voting against freedom. That's what we're talking about here. And being more specific, there's from my understanding, there's 4 options that's going to be voted on tonight. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman?
1 of 4.
1 to 4?
We're going to probably pick 1 of the 4.
1 of the 4. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I meant. So option 2, my understanding is that no restrictions whatsoever. Is that correct?
Okay. If that in fact is correct, I urge every member of this board to vote for option 2. You can't not vote for option 2. That is a vote for freedom. You've got, you have, there is no other option. I'm out of time. But do the right thing, folks.
Anybody else on the phone?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Susan Allen, I live off Route 630. I just want to know, just for my own clarity, what do you have to gain by passing this ordinance? Is it more to you than what we have to lose by not being able to represent the United States by flying the flag that we want to fly? Is that really what it's come to, is what you want versus what we want? I mean, can't there be some kind of compromise? Because I just don't see how losing this is going to make anything any better anywhere.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
You don't have as far to walk, so. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to address the board. It's nice that you take time to represent the people. I know you're compensated some, but still that you step out and do this. But you know, I really don't feel like we're being represented, especially from you and sometimes you. The rest, you know, I guess you feel the way you feel. But I'm not going to go into a lot of background. I'm just going to say I really worked hard all my life from about the time I was 4.5 years old. I paid a lot of taxes. I still pay a lot of taxes, much more than I should pay for very frivolous things, very frivolous, that don't help us as working citizens. I guess they buy votes, some of these projects. And I don't know how many of you served, but I find it hard to believe any of you served and risked your life for this nation, because how you vote doesn't represent a true American. I'm sorry to say. I saw a sign while I was watching Newsmax. Don't watch Fox, go to Newsmax. I saw a pride flag being flown in the center of a U.S. flag on one side and the other. And they were all the same size, being flown at the same height, and believe me, they were big. This was the President of the United States and that administration flying those flags that way. I wouldn't have voted for that. I wouldn't have voted for flying a pride flag with the U.S. flag. But let me just back up a little bit and ask a question. You're guilty of listening to a few people and then denying the majority, which I feel are the majority, their rights and their constitutional rights. So even if it's only one person, you violated their rights, and you spend this. Do you know what lawfare is, which this present administration and president are doing with the DOJ and the FBI and all that? You know what lawfare is? You're practicing it. You're taking the taxpayers' money, and then you're passing ordinances to deny them of their rights. And then when they violate the ordinances you passed, which were not legal to begin with, only because you voted for it, you use their tax money to keep bringing it back and back and back again, while they pay the tax, but they have to come up with private funds to keep going back. So you just, you break them, more or less, if you're doing lawfare, which is what the federal government's doing on all these people. And so I would like to ask a question. I don't know if you can answer it, but how much of my taxpayers' money and everybody else's taxpayers' money have you spent on this so far? Can anybody answer that? I've heard 80 to 90,000, maybe more than that. Is it less? Same thing with the statue downtown. One or two people complain, they go in a secret service, secret meeting, which is not even legal, which wasn't legal. They got a crane waiting outside to take it down at night.
Sir.
They come out and take it down.
Sir.
And we don't know how much that cost us.
Sir.
But we do know it was for a very.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
That pertains to the town of Farmville. We're speaking about the county.
Well, I
please.
live in the town
And
and I
our-
pay county
our
taxes.
Time is up.
Okay,
Please.
may I
Thank you.
present y'all, please?
I missed his name. You
Bill?
didn't say his name.
Barton, I know you. I know you.
I didn't say you didn't. I don't think you said.
I mean, I
What's
hope I didn't offend you
your,
too
what's
much.
your first name? You have a
Derek.
first, yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
I-
Talk to me?
Where you live at?
In Farmville,
Where-
unfortunately. I'd rather
I
live
mean,
in Rice.
where in Farmville?
I'll get in touch with you. I live at 308 Third Avenue. That's my residence.
308 Third Avenue?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'll be about to see you.
All right.
Thank you, appreciate
And
that.
I would like to donate these,
Yes, I'll be about to see you.
if you pass them around, if
Yes,
you
sir.
don't mind.
Thank you, sir.
I hope I haven't offended anybody.
Oh, no, sir. I won't come back
But I'll
talking.
tell you, I used to be proud to be an American. I'm not so proud anymore. And I used to have a really good sense of humor, but I don't have such a good sense of humor anymore. Because I feel like I'm being oppressed. Thank you.
Walter Bradshaw, I think you asked for a turn.
My name is Courthouse Bradshaw. I'm from, originally from Rice, Virginia, but I've lived in Farmville at 228 Lakeside Drive for 34 years. I'm a third generation veteran. My father is buried and my grandfather was buried in Episcopal Baptist Church Cemetery. What I want to say, has anybody studied General Washington's crossing of the Delaware during the Revolutionary War? We came that close to losing that war if we didn't get across that river. Christmas Eve, General Washington told his troops that they were going to cross it. And he told those people, and it was snowing, and it was cold, miserably cold. Have y'all read that? Y'all ought to read that story. We missed being British colonists and British people, not Americans, by that much if General Washington hadn't crossed the Delaware. And if you haven't seen the picture of him in the boat, they had a gigantic American flag, cheering them on, giving them encouragement, because it was very, very harsh. I strongly just ask if y'all would take that into consideration, and let's vote for what Mr. Jones had. I think it's option 2.
Anyone else?
Can I make one more comment, Mr. Chairman?
Go right ahead, sir.
I told you 2 minutes wasn't long enough. When I came home from Vietnam, in the airport in Richmond, Virginia, a woman walked up to me and said, "Son, are you coming home from Vietnam?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she spit in my face, disrespecting my service and all that. This, what you're doing now, hurts deeper than that. Please don't do it.
Anyone else? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Sharon Dotson of Lockett District. When America was founded, it was founded on freedom. We all had freedom. And then politicians came into play, and they started taking those freedoms. They had laws, and they had ordinances, and they had provisions. And they said slowly they were doing it for our safety. Well, they don't look at the safety anymore. They look at taxes, and they look at all these other things that they can distribute. And they start taking our freedoms away. And they start saying, well, how much freedom can we take? How many can we get by with? And now it's, we can take all their freedoms. How fast can we take them? How much can we get? And you all are doing exactly the same thing with the flag and everything else. You take all of our freedoms, and you don't really give a shit. So I don't know what you think you're doing. You start one by one by one. You raise our taxes. Yes. All these people should show up every month, not just when they get angry, because you've been doing this for years, and you'll continue to do it. So you're annexing part of Burkeville. You're annexing part of this. You're building a water treatment plant that you paid for a feasibility study for what, 3 times? Millions of dollars. $52 million for the 3rd time? And then what? When they start distributing the water, what are you going to do? You're going to charge them. You're going to pay for that water. You might already have your private well. You don't want that water. Oh, now you're going to pay a non-user's fee. And then what? It's too late now. Take your flag. Take everything else. And what are you going to do about it? You're going to sit there and you look smug. You keep on taking. Freedom is just about gone. Why can't Prince Edward be one of the very few that gives our freedoms back? Why can't you be the shining light in the state of Virginia and the country? Give our freedoms back.
Anyone else? No one on the phone? We'll close citizens' part. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion about moving item 10 up before item 7 and ask Doug and Robbie to make a presentation for us, please.
So moved.
Have a motion, seconded. Bill?
Second.
Odessa?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Robbie?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you asked staff to review the existing zoning ordinance as it pertained to flags back in the spring of 2022 after the county received numerous calls. And subsequent to that, the Board of Supervisors set in place an emergency ordinance that was drafted and approved. And then subsequently, in April, that was adopted in April 12th, 2022. And then on May 12th, 2022, the permanent ordinance was put in place. Since the adoption of this ordinance last year, the county has written 3 notices on flagpoles that were erected without a zoning permit, all of which were applied for and approved to erect a pole of up to 20 feet. 3 oversized flag violations and 2 advisory notices have also been sent out to landowners of oversized flags. Of those 5 notices, 4 were American flags. Prince Edward County allows every property owner to display up to 3 flags, each of which can have a maximum size of 40 square feet, which allows for with a flagpole of up to 20 feet in height without getting a special use permit. This allows for 120 square feet of free expression for each property. The zoning permit is required prior to the installation of a flagpole at a fee of $10. Last month, you had several speakers speak about flags. You've had some tonight. At your request, we have put together a PowerPoint which will set forth particular options. Option 1 would be to make no change. This would require any single flag to have a maximum square footage of 40 feet and limit 3 flags per site. Option 2 would remove the language that limits flag size. Option 3 would provide new language to allow for a special use permit for an oversized flag. Much like the flagpole, it would go through the public hearing process and be done on a case-by-case basis. Option 4 was to increase the maximum size of each flag to a certain amount with the overall total square footage of those flags. We've put forth the draft ordinance, and I think we've got County Administrator Doug Stanley will go over a PowerPoint to kind of give you a visual on what these options mean and what they look like.
You have the clicker, Robbie?
Sure. Thought we have it up there. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's got the little laser on it. It's so fun.
Chase it. So, as Mr. Love described, the board had asked us to go back and look and give you some options to consider. So the first option, option 1, make no change. This would require any single flag to have a maximum square footage of 40 feet with a limit of 3 flags per site. Option 2 would remove the language that limits flag size. This would allow flags of any size to be placed on a parcel with a limit of 3 flags per site. Option 3 would provide new language to allow for a special use permit for an oversized flag. This will allow permitting through the public hearing process on a case-by-case basis with consideration based on appropriateness of the site location, but with no consideration on discussion of content. And I just want to reiterate, I don't think there's a person up here at the dais that wants to treat the American flag with other flags, but that is the law. We have to treat the American flag the same as any other flag from a legal standpoint. Option 4 increases the maximum size of each flag to a certain maximum with an overall total site square footage for flags. This would allow for a larger individual flag, but also specify an overall site square footage maximum, much like what is required for signs in zoning districts. So you could take that 120 square foot and say, I want a 10 by 12 flag, or I want an 8 by 12 flag, anything under that. Or you could say, I want 2 60 square foot flags to use up my 120 square feet. That would be the option of the property owner. Most of the flags that are in question that exist that we're talking about were in the 8 by 12 or 6 by 10, so 60 to 86 or 96 square feet. So option 4, as prescribed, would address the situations that Mr. Love had referenced in writing letters regarding. And the final, it was talked about at the last meeting about the different ratios. And if you look at even up to a 40, 50 square foot, that 8 by 12 would get you up close to 50 feet with a 50-foot pole based on the ratio that's recommended for flying a flag. So with that, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Robert. Any of the board members have questions?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, we'll move on here. Do we want to do the board's comments
Do you want to?
or finish up with the?
Do y'all want to finish up with the flag item while these folks are here, Mr. Chair?
All right. Most all of you know me, one way or the other. I've been here all my life. There's not a soul in here that respects this flag any more than I do. My father served. He was 2 miles behind the front lines when they were going after Hitler. I have his flag in my house that I was given at his funeral. I have a flag on his grave. But I'm not going to disrespect my flag by allowing people to do wrong. conversations today. Well, I don't have a light on my flag and I leave it up all the time and I dare anybody to say anything to me about it. That flag needs to be lit at night. Needs to be lit at night. I was talked to like a dog today. I heard profanity that I've never heard out of a person's mouth. It was wrong. I had a person come to my place of business last Saturday. I was helping a fire department member repair his car. Walked right in the middle of my business and lit in on me. And these guys are backing up. What's wrong with him? That's not the way we live in a community. That's not how we do between ourselves. I'm guilty. Darlington Heights Fire Department. The light was broke how long, Dallas? Lawnmower hit it, broke it. We got a young man that fixed it for it. That was wrong. That disrespected our flag. There's a lady that is married to one of our firemen that has personally purchased 2 flags because our flag got raggedy. And I'll buy as many as I need to. I drove by one today in the county. It's hanging down. It's raggedy. Those flags get raggedy from some of the battles they've been in. And if anybody thinks that I don't respect the flag or what it represents, I'm sorry. But we're going to do what we need to do to protect that flag. We're not going to let somebody put up a flag and let it be dragged in the ground because they want a big flag. We're not going to let it sit there at night with no light shining on it. We're not going to do that, not far as I'm concerned. There has got to be a few regulations. I'm sorry, but there's got to be. If not, it's going to be disrespected more and more and more.
It is, already.
All right? It is already. You're right.
But not just in the way you're speaking.
Think about what I just said, sir.
Think about what I said.
I did. I did. I'm not here to argue with you. It's my turn to talk, sir. You had your turn. I'm sorry. I've got my turn now. All right? We've got representatives here that fought in wars. I had a man comment about how many body bags come back with flags draped over them. I respect every man that died for it. Okay? But I am not going to sit by and let the flag be disrespected. I'm not going to do it.
We're not able.
Okay? I think we're on the same page, you know. Okay? Everybody will push the limits. I promise you. I've seen pickups dragging the flags behind them. That's not right. Now, y'all have to forgive me. When I get on a roll, I'm terrible. And they can tell me to be quiet whenever I want to. I told somebody today that I'm going to vote what I think is right because I'm one vote of a panel of 8. And I am proud to be on this panel. I was appointed originally. I was not elected. And I'm going to bring up another point. The last 2 elections, nobody would step up to the plate and run. I'm still here. And I'm trying to do my best along with every member of this board. And I think that we have tried to do a good job. And the way this thing started was some of these things that were put up and children on buses were asking the questions, what is this? Why is that? Explain it to me. Yes. Think about it. You know what I'm talking about. It came from people calling, wanting to know why this is. School bus drivers. Ma'am, you check your head all you want. I have young grandchildren, and I will not drive by some of these things that are out there. I will not.
Do you know any history?
Sir?
Do you know history?
Yes, I do.
Well, why are we eliminating history?
We're not. I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
You're advocating.
I'm taking care of it the best I can. Yes, I am. Excuse me, I didn't hear you. I'm doing what?
You're erasing history.
Why am I erasing it?
Because what answer were you trying to tell the children on the bus?
I wasn't on the bus. I'm talking about calls that I got. You know, if we don't look after our younger generation and teach them right from wrong, and my daddy told me at a young age, if you don't do wrong, son, you never have to answer for it.
My daddy told me if you don't stand up for something, you'll fall for
That's right. Ballot? Ballot?
Lou, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
These bogus things you're talking about, are they signs or are they flags?
They have been both.
I have never seen the flag. I've seen the sign, and something definitely needs to be done about folk directly on our streets.
I agree.
But doing this with the flags does not fix that sign.
We're not against it. We're Prince Edward County residents, citizens, and we're not against it. I want you to understand, you need help, I'll come to your rescue. It's just not about getting bad about each other. We're Christians. We love God, we love this country, and we love Prince Edward County. I choose Prince Edward County when I drove through it in 1986. God told me to come here. I love this county. I'm gonna raise my 13 grandkids in this county. I love y'all, and I don't think we need to have this kind of spirit in this kind of court.
Amen.
I think that you are the representation of us, and I think that you will do the right thing. We're not saying that you won't do the right thing. All we're saying is you listen to the majority to see what we need to be done about the greatest flag on earth.
David?
Yes,
comments?
sir. First of all, I'd like to say that the lady that brought up the comment about being here every time is exactly right. When I first started serving on this board, I said that from the very beginning, that if you want anything to change, make sure you show up. I'll also say that I pledge allegiance to that flag because I did serve. I may be the only one on this board at this point that served, but I did. So therefore, you can throw all the stones you want to, and I can take it. I will also say to you that with my serving, I have to abide by all the rules and regulations of the United States of America. Not just one, not just because I like it, not because I dislike it, not because someone else likes it, not because they dislike it. I think the board has heard your plea tonight. I think we'll make a decision here in a little while. Some will be happy, some will not. That's part of a democracy. That's part of history, as Mr. Barton brought up.
We're a republic.
It's a
Not a democracy, but a republic.
what we were started as. That's correct. That is correct. History proves to us throughout history, though, that there are things that go along with it that don't always please the masses, even if the masses might be right. So I would say to you that regardless of what happens tonight, please be respectful. You can, by all means, voice your opinion. I think you all have my phone number. If not, I'll give it one more time. It's 434-315-3259. That's a number that's on the website. In the past, it's been brought up that people couldn't hear things or see things. You're more than welcome to call me. I have that phone with me pretty much 24 hours a day, whether people like it or not. This flag issue has become a sore spot. It's become a touchy spot. It's become a little of everything. I can't hardly go to any business outside of Farmville, whether it's Prospect, whether it's Prince Edward County, whether it's Lunenburg County, whether it's Nottoway, whether it's on the CRC board, whether it's on the jail board, whatever it is, that the flag issue doesn't come up. So I can assure you that we have heard a lot about it, good and bad. I hope the decision will suit the majority. If it doesn't, you have every right to vote us out. That's the way that you start the process. If you don't like the way you're represented, go to the polls. Regardless, go to the polls. So that's what I would say to you, and I'm gonna pass it on to Jerry.
I think you said it all. Certainly heard everyone's voice. My response is, the last meeting, I'm the one that made the motion to table it for 30 days to this month. And the reason for that was so we could do our research and make sure we make I make an informed decision, a decision that's going to be in a be something that everyone may not agree with, but something everyone can live with. I ask you to be respectful and accept whatever the board decision, the majority rule, whatever way they vote, and we need to respect that. And like Supervisor Emmerich said, you know, if you don't feel like you're being represented properly, then go to the polls. That's where you make change. Your vote count, okay? So thank you for being here. I hear you loud and clear, and you were loud and clear, okay? So that's, whatever way it turned out, let's be respectful and respect each other's voice, okay?
Yeah, I'll echo some of the comments that both of y'all shared. Thank you for being here. I was one of the first ones to seek to address this at the last meeting, and my opinion really hasn't changed. At this point in the meeting, we've got to spitball back and forth and negotiate and make compromises. That's just the process. So I thank you in advance for allowing us to go through the nuts and bolts of what our decision is going to be, and that's going to require us to be able to have conversations here amongst ourselves. As far as the specific flag issues, Chairman, you asked for our thoughts on the flag. The way I read these options is option one is leave everything the way it is, and I don't think anybody wants that option. Option two, in my eyes, and these are just mine, but I see that as representing the most freedom. Option three represents active red tape, because you have to go down to the courthouse and get a permit. And then option four represents passive red tape, where I say, well, you can have 3 small flags or 1 big flag, you get to choose. And as far as I'm concerned, I think we have an opportunity here to cut red tape and to allow freedom. And so that's why I fully support option 2.
Good evening. Again, I'm happy to see all the faces here. My father, my brothers, my cousins. I had some of them come back from Vietnam in a casket with nothing but rocks and a dog chain. The dog tags. That was the only thing in that box because we demanded to see what was in there. There was nobody. But we were told that MacArthur Cooper died in a mess hall. So I do understand military, and I do represent Prince Edward County, and my vote is going to be what I think is going to be best suited for our county. It may be offensive to some other people, but you can't tell me that I don't have any ties to the military. I have my daddy's flag off of his casket in my house. Thank you.
Yeah.
I got a friend that bought a vacation house down the lake in another county, and he had a neighbor who was a real jerk. He didn't like this guy at all. And he decided, he looked in the county code, see if there were any rules. And he erected this giant barrier up against his property. I mean, super tall. And it was miserable for the other guy, and he was happy to have done it. And he admitted to being a little vindictive, but he got his point across. And the guy ended up selling the house, and he took it down as soon as he met the new neighbor, you know. And the lesson of that to me was, you know, and they changed the rules in that county. You know, if there are no rules at all, I came here equipped to vote for option 4. I thought a 120-foot flag was really big. You know, I thought it was would take care of most people's, almost everybody's desires. But apparently I'm a awful person if I don't have the Wild Wild West. But I think having some measure in place, not to have giant things at the edge of your property. Remember, we're not talking about just American flags. The law says we cannot differentiate. You could have any kind of flag you want right up against your neighbor's property. I think that would be very poor display of being neighborly. And I would like to to have just a little bit of limitation. I'm not for the $10 fee. I'm not for the paperwork. I'm not for the, I want, you all are, who talked last time, you got wonderful things that your neighbors like. You're tastefully done. I mean, it was so good. It was very heartwarming. I thought it was like, yeah, we are being foolish to ask these people to limit their, I haven't been sitting in this chair very long. Apparently I've irritated some of you already. I just think you want to draw the line somewhere, not to have just monstrosities of any flavor. And so I'm for option 4.
Good evening, everybody. For those who don't know me, I'm Odessa Pride. I represent the Hampton District. And I agree with what so many have said. I agree with what you just said. By giving these options, it covers a size that will be amenable for everybody. I just want you to know that I'm a former high school principal, former middle school principal. And one of the first things that I demanded, or asked, I'm not going to say demanded, from the students was respect. We are entitled to say and feel what we feel in a respectable way. My mother and father always told me, and he is a former vet, that once something comes out of your mouth that is not right, that offends some people, it's out there. I don't care how you try to bring it back and cover it up. I do say that I respect your comments, and I know whatever decision is made up here tonight is not gonna please everybody, but hopefully it will cover everybody's size. I just hope the decision that's made. I work hard being a Board of Supervisor in Hampton District. I thank my supporters. I hope you continue to support me. And I encourage you to continue to come out to our meetings, not just when it's something that you are overly concerned about, like the last meeting was tonight. Come to our meetings, talk to us, let us know what's on your mind, and maybe we can come to an amenable agreement. Thank you much.
Well, I guess y'all know I'm Bill down Rice. I think everybody pretty much got good questions, remarks. Quite impressive, some of them were, And everybody else can kind of voice their opinion. And I think we got to have some kind of rule. We just can't turn it loose. Because somebody's going to abuse it. Then we'll be back here again, doing the same thing again. There be language to be on the flags that we don't like to see. We have them too big. And what happens 3-4 years down the road when all this is smoothed out? If we got these humongous things hanging, might not be the American flag, might be some other kind of flag that you don't really appreciate, but there it is, that you're looking at. Or the pole is not set right and it's leaning, but the owner don't want to fix it. So we go in the road, we see an American flag on a pole leaning. We don't want to see that. So if you put the flag up, make it look good, but don't trash it. And you cannot just turn loose and let put up what they want. Because I know y'all seen the flag that says F and then somebody's name. Would you like to see one of those in your neighborhood? Think about it. I mean, no, what about you? What happened to children or the old people next door? They would get offended. So we got to have some kind of regulation. I love a big flag. I like to watch them. I go to Burkeville just see the flag flying across my Dollar General store. It's in the park lot and watch it. So I love a big flag, but we got to have a little bit of control somehow. So it won't get carried away with some vulgar stuff. Or you might see somebody don't drew on a flag that's really vulgar. So, and I know we ain't gonna make everybody happy. I already noticed that a little while ago. A fella at 308 3rd Avenue don't like me, but that's all right too. I'll meet a bowl of cereal in the morning and go to work. So that's my opinion. Thank you. And I will get one. I'll come by your house and get one.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond?
Yes.
Mr. Watson, I agree with your story. That was, as you said, that was not a neighborly thing for that person to do, to push the limits so far. And I think that lack of being neighborly can also be lumped in the same concept that Mr. Jenkins is referring to with vulgar profanity. What prevents free speech from degrading into vulgar profanity? And I think the answer is not the government, but the moral fabric of society. It should not be the government, but the community that holds the free speech to a higher standard. Alexis de Tocqueville was a French political philosopher who's often credited with saying that America is great because she is good. When she ceases to be good, she will cease to be great. Free speech should be regulated by the American citizens community because Americans are good people. It's not, I don't think it's our job as a government to police it.
Has anybody looked at the front of the courthouse lately? Has anybody looked? Yeah. Okay. When I came here, our United States flag was on a 2-inch piece of galvanized pipe. It was stuck in a pipe in the ground, and every time the wind blew, it did this. I'd invite everybody to go look at it now. This board stepped up to the plate and respected that flag. And it to me, is beautiful. You can sit out there and gaze at it. It was really done well. That's all we're trying to do, is make sure it is taken care of. You can let it go if you want.
I think you can put it as safety measures. If that flag is not safety, then you can regulate it. But if it's safety, you need to leave it.
Yeah. All right. I guess next is pleasure of the board. Motion?
I move that the Board of Supervisors adopt the attached emergency ordinance of option 2 to amend 3-104.1 to eliminate the limit on the size of flags at 40 square feet and to refer the amendment to the Planning Commission for formal consideration.
Do we have a second?
Question first.
Yes, sir.
Doug, is this going to be an emergency ordinance or is this repeal?
There's still some sections of that ordinance that stay in place, including the flag height, pole height. So it would be,
You'll repeal part of it rather than it being an emergency ordinance, is that correct?
still would have to go through the process back to the Planning Commission. I think the purpose of putting the emergency on it was to make the change, whatever change the board adopts, make it effective tonight.
I second.
We have a motion seconded. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
No.
Harrison?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Cannon?
No.
Dessa?
No.
Deal?
No.
My vote is no.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I move we adopt option 4 that allows people to, people to have up to 3 flags totaling 120 square feet. I think that's a measure that will allow those, everyone that, you can have everyone here, I think, would be in compliance, that we've heard from. I think everyone has had a flag that has not come close to that limit. I think that's a reasonable measure. I think that's something we can look at.
Second.
Question to the motion.
Yes.
If this motion passes, will staff stand down on all flag sizes that have been out of compliance? Would it automatically grandfather in every flag?
Every
That would
flag
be
under
my
120 square feet, yes.
Yeah, that would be my intention for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, grandfather.
Yes, sir.
Can I say something? Not during the.
Down.
Yeah.
If that is true, that needs to be in the language.
Yeah, it's grandfather, everybody
So if everybody,
that's already.
so the folks that have like an 8x12 flag, they're going to be within that number. They would be approved.
Yeah, because
Under that 120 square, they're good.
square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was the intent.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Any more questions, discussion? Vote on the motion. David?
No.
Gary?
Yes.
Harrison?
No.
Annie?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Tessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Option 4.
We'll take a recess, Mr. Chairman.
At this time, we're going to call a recess for 5 minutes. the consent agenda. All the members looked over that.
I did.
We have a motion.
Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Have a second? We have a motion, seconded. Bill? On the consent agenda, yes? No? All right, Cannon?
Yes.
Odessa?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And me, yes. Yes, I do.
We passed over board comments on number 7, Mr. Chairman.
I thought we all made them comments.
You've had enough comments. We're good.
We did.
All right.
I think we've done that.
All right, we're good.
Oh, excuse me.
They're gonna close them up.
That better? We move on to item 9, budget appropriations, 2024.
Mr. Chairman, I have a conflict of interest disclosure statement.
Yes, sir.
As a member of the Board of the Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors, I, Jerry R. Townsend, am disclosing that I have a personal interest in the transaction for the adoption of the fiscal year 24 county and the approval of the local funding for the fiscal year 24 school budget. My wife is an employee of the Prince Edward County Public Schools, and I am an employee of the Piedmont Regional Jail. I am able to participate pursuant to section 2.2-3112B1 of the Code of Virginia. Because the fiscal year 24 county budget and the local funding for the fiscal year 24 school budget affects groups of 3 or more, which are all county-funded employees, all county agencies funded by the county budget, and all employees of the Prince Edward County Public Schools. Additionally, I am able to participate in the adoption of the fiscal year 24 county budget and the approval of local funding for the fiscal year 24 school budget fairly, objectively, and in the public interest. I have filed this declaration of disclosure with the Office of Prince Edward County Administrator, a copy which is available for public review.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend.
I'll take it over, Mr. Chairman. On April 25th, 2023, the Board of Supervisors approved the FY24 budget for Prince Edward County. The resolution adopted on that date lists a total budget of $69,732,747, which included a school budget of $29,088,802 and a cafeteria budget of $1,469,883. Attachment 1 is the annual resolution of appropriations for the Prince Edward County fiscal year ending June 30, 2024. And attachment 2 is the listing of amounts to be specifically appropriated by the Board of Supervisors by department or fund. The recommendation is to approve both those items as identified on the bottom of that cover sheet.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Odessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Highway Matters, Scott Frederick, please. Thank you, Scott.
Sorry, I was talking to one of the constituents here about a local intersection in Prince Edward County. Did we just open the public hearing, or is this just my?
This is just your part.
This is your part.
Okay. Well, Mr. Hicks was asking me, I guess I'll start out with it. I was planning to finish with it, but anybody that travels 460 on the western side of the county has seen some changes we've recently made where we put the westbound lanes where it used to have the right outside lane, I'll call it, just turn into a turn lane and drop off. And if you missed that was coming, you could end up going over the concrete island. So we backed up from the intersection and we put it down to one lane approaching the intersection. And then when you get up near the intersection, there's like what everybody is used to, a standard right turn lane to enter 307 and head eastbound 307. So that should eliminate any crashes where we were having road departures for drivers that may have not been paying attention and ended up hitting those islands. There was a lot of skid marks on the island, so that was a crash that was occurring out there. So this change that we've recently made should eliminate road departures. Before we did that project, about 2.5 years ago, we were having rear end collisions. And as far as numbers go, we were having lots of them. We were having, I don't know what the rate was off the top of my head, but there was in about a 2 years time, there was maybe 20 of them or more. I forget the exact number. But once we did the project, we had about 20 or so crashes. After the project, they were just road departures or angle crashes. So these changes that we've recently been working on are definitely going to help with road departures. There was, right in the mix of us doing that, the countermeasures by changing that lane and doing some striping work, and the paving project, there was 3 crashes all in a short period of time. So we're aware of the crashes. I've been working closely with Doug and the board and also traffic engineering. We've had 3 different traffic engineers come out and spend hours out on site watching what's going on, making sure the striping is put in as best as it can be put in the layout work. When you put new striping down, it's critical to try to get the layout as best you can get it. And I'll just bring it up. There was a request from the sheriff's office and the county previously to reduce the speed limit. That's not off the table. One thing that they're working on this week is counts. I don't know if there's tubes in place or if sometimes they monitor traffic counts and speed of traffic from like a portable machine that they put in either in the median or on the shoulder of the road. But what they're trying to do this week is get what we call the 85th percentile speed. That's the speed that 85% of the traffic is going at that speed or slower. And once they have that, they try to set a speed limit within 5 miles per hour of that speed. And that's where you'll get your best compliance with the speed limit. So right now we didn't change the speed limit. It's still currently 60 miles an hour out there. And I guess one thing traffic engineering is trying to make sure of is that if they set the speed limit too slow, you could create a new crash pattern with rear end collisions. You could have, I don't work traffic engineering every day in, day out. They explain several scenarios to me that could take place, but you just don't want to set the speed limit wrong. But so right now we could be having motorists that are traveling slower than the speed limit, and then you get that one guy that feels like he can go 100 or any number, like we were talking about earlier tonight, regulation. There's always somebody that'll push the limit, come through and hit that guy that's going slower than the speed limit perhaps. So they're watching extremely close, got a lot of focus on it right now, and by next month we should have a more solid feel on what we're going to do with the speed limit. But what I'm here to say tonight is that is not off the table. It's not a no, it's not a yes, but still being reviewed. Sarah?
I've been, other parts of the country where they say high accident zone ahead, slow down. I think we need something like that. I mean, it's just, the statistics are just alarming. I keep going by there thinking, I'm not sure how this is happening. Of course, I'm familiar with it. We've got people coming through who've never seen it before. And, if it's posted 60 and local, everywhere in Virginia, they let you go several miles over. It's pretty fast, and there's not much real estate there.
Right.
Not much visibility. The one sign that says new traffic pattern ahead is too far toward Burkeville, in my opinion. You forget you even saw it by the time you get there. I mean, it's way back there.
Yes, in Nottaway County.
Okay, yeah, we can adjust that to bring it closer. Harrison?
Yeah, is there anything we can do to mitigate the T-bone collisions from a westbound car and a car turning onto 307?
Well, that's...
besides lowering the speed limit?
So with the previous...
Or in addition to?
Yeah,
Sorry.
with the previous configuration, we were assuming that the angle crashes, which you called the T-bone, we kind of were assuming that was a 460 westbound motorist that was in the outside lane that was approaching the intersection in the wrong lane to go through the intersection. We were assuming that that happened by making a last-minute maneuver into the other lane that a left turner wasn't expecting, or of either a left turner out of 307 or a left turner onto 307 would be hit by that unexpected move. So we're very hopeful that that has been satisfied and that the crashes will go away with the change we just made. And obviously, I just said there was, 3 crashes right while we were making this change. So that was extremely unfortunate, and it was not something we foresaw happening, but we're still got upgrades to put down with some flexible delineators that should also help with channelizing the through traffic. So we should have everything done out there in the next few weeks. There's some stuff that we've ordered that hasn't come in yet, is what I'm told. So I guess, and like I said, I'm not in the traffic engineering office day in, day out. It's not necessarily my forte, but it's a left turn movement that crosses one lane, like Supervisor Watson just said. It's like, how is this happening? I mean, we got left turns across 2 lanes.
Yeah.
In many other places where there's not crashes.
You think just crossing one would have improved it some?
Yeah, so I would call it, we made a safety improvement that, we had an unexpected result from it. So I guess stay tuned. I'm going to be working with them closely throughout this upcoming month, and we should have a lot more to talk about at the next meeting. And I'll continue to work with Doug and Sarah, offline. Yes, I'll go in order. I saw your hand first, Ms. Jones.
One of those biggest problems at 307 is that when people come through there, they automatically think that they can outrun that car that's coming 460 westbound. They pull right in front of you. It happened to me this week. I could have hit it, but I already know to slow down and be aware because I know the danger is there. But the car that comes into the intersection and make that left to go on 307, it's like, I don't care how fast you're going, I'm gonna beat you across the way. And that's exactly where a lot of those crashes come from. They're gonna run in front of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I've talked about that, and I've had other people make the same statement, is that they know to slow down. So what we're doing this week with getting the 85th percentile speed, if that's a pattern that everybody's doing, then that'll make it very easy to reduce the speed limit. So hopefully there's more drivers like you that are being cautious and slowing down to go through the intersection.
When you stay up to speed, it seems kind of sketchy to me.
Bill?
Mr. Hicks, he just spent time doing this, and I think you should take time to look at the figures and the research he's done, because he's a really good person.
Yes,
Well
sir.
respected in our neighborhood, so.
Yes, sir.
Listening to what you're saying about the configuration of the speed, the change that y'all made recently going westbound in one lane, that's a positive move. However, the warning is not far enough going back eastbound toward Nottaway. That one sign that you have there past Hubbard Road, that's good, but in such a marking, there should be warnings further up the road, like either overhead or a line in the road indicating lane closure or et cetera. I mean, give people, even if they come around the curve there, you're probably looking at 3/4 of a mile, they got a warning, which at that point, if you reduce the speed, then when you get to that point down there, the speed is already reduced.
Yes, sir.
And I would suggest coming through that area right there, the speed should at least be 45 miles an hour as a maximum. And I'll tell you why. The way my driveway is there now, it's supposed to be a private driveway, but it's got yellow lines in it. That's another issue. One vehicle, I would say, that's traveling 307 going west, one vehicle out of 100 estimation is going to turn into that private drive. I come in up this afternoon now. My chain is knocked down. One of the red
Reflectors.
the reflectors for a dead end, one of those are knocked down. So whether they pull there and turn around in the roadway, whatever they did, this is a consistent daily. It happens. Now, I'll come in, and when I come out, most times as a convenience, I come across at the bottom of 600. So if I come at the bottom, this is 4 o'clock in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, traffic is light. But you get a car, when I pull out where I can see to cross the road, this is around the curve, I'm gonna estimate, I can see probably 3/4 of a mile around, the best I can see with lights. But all I can do is get across that intersection there safely without somebody being on me. If a vehicle is coming, they'll be on me because they're riding this, I don't know what they're riding, but they're riding at excessive speed. So, all to say, that's fine what you're saying, but then signs are for that purpose, is to reduce speed. And that's one of the main factors there is speed at this point. But I put together some drawings here that when this first began, and the gentleman that was telling me about what was going on at the intersection, it seemed like everybody was more of a voice than me. But the one person that did talk to me afterwards, I said to him then what I thought the solution was with what they're proposing to do. So he said to me that the budget didn't allow such. But that's what I'll present to you now. But I don't know the procedure yet as to how and what's done and who presents what to who. I'm not clear on that. I mean, the board is the county, you're the state, so who fixed this thing?
VDOT, I mean, we operate and maintain the roads, and it's our mission to provide a good transportation system that, you know, it increases quality of life. And we don't want to create problems for people or dangerous situations. And like I said, we're reviewing it very closely. And some other things we've looked at and are still working on a plan to implement would be like dynamic flashers, like are out in the Prospect, Pamplin area. So when a car is either coming up in the turn lane or off 307, we'd have dynamic flashing warning lights. And then also just the
cars
light.
trip it, you mean? The actual
Yeah,
traffic
it won't
makes
flash
it-
all the time, just
Yeah,
when cars.
only when a
are
car's
there.
coming. Got it.
And then lighting the intersection has been brought up many times. We think that would be helpful. It's something, the original project was bare bones, I'll call it. It was a limited budget. That's just my understanding. I didn't help design it or do the estimating, but I mean, we certainly had more in the project when we were originally designing it, and I think some stuff was cut out. But
It just seems that each time you'll go back to do an improvement, it just gets worse. So.
I agree.
Who shall I give what I put together?
I'll take it from you right now.
As a solution, I think would be a solution. Shall I give it to you or shall I give it to the board?
Whoever wants it the most, I'm happy to take it.
Give it to him. He's the man. Give it to the man.
Scott, while Mr. Hicks is looking for that, I have a question, and it's something kind of what Mr. Hicks alluded to, the money. So far, how much money has been spent on this additional work, on this project, and it's still not right?
Well, I mean, those are
Just approximately.
loaded statements. It's still.
I mean,
am I just supposed to agree that, I mean, we had licensed professionals working on it, doing their very best to make improvements. And granted, there's the original plan, while on paper was a perfect plan, it violated the expectation of the driver, that lane peeled off the way it did. And we figured that out reasonably quickly, and we're acting to correct it currently. And Sir,
Trying to save you here.
please do.
I agree with what you've done, making that turning lane. That's helped get people going west, going in the right direction. Now, the eastbound left turn seems to be the issue now. One of the deputies made the comment, he said it's kind of a blind curve. Now, this motion sensor light, if it was put there, we've got oncoming traffic that activates this red light where left turn has to stop till that car goes by, then make your left turn. It's like an intersection in a town. Is that doable? Reasonable?
We'd have to look at that closely. I'm not aware of it.
The traffic on the left lane the turn traffic might be backed up where people are going fast. I would think you might encounter stop
Yes,
vehicles
sir.
that way.
As far as I know, that's not being considered, but I'll write it down and
I
can
will
certainly
tell
get
you
back
that
to
when
you.
I go through there, I run 45 miles an hour both ways.
I'm not gonna be the next one.
You gotta really be careful. Do we have anything else for Scott?
On a completely different note, there were some constituents of Supervisor Jenkins that live in the Whisperwood subdivision wrote him a letter. And he quickly got to me, and went over the letter with me, and we worked to, research the current situation of that subdivision. So the letter basically requests Supervisor Jenkins to help to get the private roads in this subdivision taken into the state system.
Scott, can I save you from all of that?
Sure.
All right, if the board will go to page 136, number 11, when that subdivision was built, it specifically tells them that it can't be taken in. So I'll save you your trouble.
Yes, sir. I was about to point that out in the actual Whisperwood subdivision
That HOA.
covenants. Number 11, one of the lines I got highlighted is
No,
that
he didn't make them.
it says, as the said roadway shall be brought to the state specifications to be accepted into the highway system. But right before that, it says the access road is private, and it is expressly understood that the said private access road, as shown on the aforementioned plat, will not be built by the subdivider, nor by Prince Edward County, nor by the Commonwealth of Virginia, nor maintained by any of them to state specifications. Then it goes on to say, shall the roadway become state maintained within the highway system? It shall not be.
Nor shall.
Yeah, nor shall it be. Yeah, and then if ever, the said property shall be brought into the specifications of and accepted into the highway system. All costs of which shall be paid by the individual lot owners, should the lot owners agree to dedicate the access road to the public use and construct the same in accordance with the then existing state specifications and regulations. So that pretty much says it all. I did find where we have the subdivision plats on file from when they were done years ago, and there's a note right on the actual plats that says pretty much the same thing. So thank you for your help with that, Supervisor Embers. But that's actually all I came prepared to talk about tonight. And I can get with Mr. Hicks right after I get down from the podium and get his plan and make sure it's considered by the traffic engineers that are on it.
Scott, I have one last quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
The roundabout in Hampton, Sydney, new project, accident-wise, has there been a report of any? That seems to be going very well. What is your feasibility for that?
I personally haven't heard of any. I do know that early on there was some oversized loads that had trouble navigating it, but I think even that has calmed down since people have gotten used to it being there. But so roundabouts do, by their design, channel traffic and force people to slow down and navigate their way through it. So really takes accidents and reduces them. And there's many benefits to a roundabout. That's just one of them.
Seems to be going well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Scott, two issues.
Yes, sir.
Town Hall, they talked about 630 Mahern Road. The tree limbs need to be cut back, striking vehicles.
Okay.
And they talked about striping of the road.
Okay.
And the speed limit on the road.
On Mahern Road, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Have you done anything with that, those issues?
I submitted Mahern Road to traffic engineering to have a study done on it, just a comprehensive review.
Okay,
And that typically takes 3 to 4 months to get it back.
that's fine. Now, the limbs hang over,
We can get that taken care of ahead of the traffic study.
grass cutting.
We're currently mowing throughout the county on secondary routes. When we get that done, we're gonna switch over to primary routes.
Secondary.
We're on the secondaries right now.
Is any of them out on 360 way south?
I don't know exactly where they're at. They mow in a pattern. But not on 360 itself, no, sir, but maybe on the side roads. We typically have 5 tractors running when we mow.
Usually, sometimes I know in the past you have some on the west end of the county and some on the east, a crew on the east. Is that?
Well, what we typically do is mow, we have our county broke into 5 sections, and we have one tractor going in each section, so we're really all over the place.
Okay.
And it takes us about 3 weeks to mow all the sections.
I know coming out the dumpster site on Verso, if you look toward 360, that site, is need the debris, the brush and trees.
Cut the brush back.
Yeah, the site distance is
distance.
terrible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you can get that, and around the bridges, both bridges on Verso Road and New Bethel, trees above the bridge.
Yes, sir. Okay, we'll get that taken care of. I meant to say it earlier. People were talking about it being a blind curve out there at 307, 460. It actually does have the sight distance that's required. It's not like some other intersections where you can just see forever. That curve does limit it, but we've measured it in the past, and it has the proper, it meets the minimum amount of sight distance for that turning. Yes, sir.
Did Sarah get with you on the limb that's hanging down on the 22 road?
Okay, it's been called in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so do I stay standing? Is it public hearing time?
It is. One quick, and I sent you a note today. We were out in the school bus for the Soil Water Conservation District out in Prospect, and Prospect Road was banging the side tree limbs. So I know the trash trucks are getting hit there, and we turned on Pin Oak, that whole section. So you got time between now and school starts, but it's pretty rough.
Yeah, we got a lot of roads to cut back.
3 to 4 months, isn't that what you said, Scott?
Be here before you know it.
This is the time of year where the tree limbs just grow. A poplar tree grows in a good growing season 8 feet in a year. So a branch can really reach out into the road, in just 1 year's time. But we're constantly trying to keep the limbs cut back.
Middle Lake Road, potholes.
Okay,
on Middle Lake Road.
I'll get that in 1 second.
Public hearing, I think I can do the intro to it, Mr. Chairman.
All right. We'll do a public hearing now, item 12, Doug.
So item 12 is our public hearing for our VDOT 6-year plan. Scott Frederick, resident engineer, will be here obviously to present and participate in the county's public hearing on the 6-year plan for FY24 through FY29 and the FY24 construction program for Prince Edward County. In your packet is a copy of the attached 6-year plan and draft resolution for the board's review and consideration. I will note that we had a work session. We had identified some projects to add to the plan. However, based on current pricing, Scott came back and said VDOT's asking us to basically hold the plan where it's at. And I made sure that Scott didn't lose those notes from that work session so that we can use that as a starting point next year, hopefully, to move forward with.
Yes, sir, I do have them in the file.
And public hearing has been properly noticed, and I believe you do not have anybody that signed up. But if you will open the public hearing and see if anybody else wishes to speak.
All right, we'll open the public hearing now. Anyone in attendance would like to speak? Pertaining to the 6-year plan, and anyone on the phone? No? I have one question. I asked some of our members here earlier, what exactly is going to be worked on this year?
Okay, this year,
Are we going to get all the way down to Old Oak or Falcon Road, or is that?
yes, sir.
Next year?
We're working on 3 this year. The first one, we got them all 3 open to charges, but we're gonna be working on Briary Way, Route 771, Old Oak Road, Route 780, and Route 632 Falkland this year. So I think we'll be out there sometime in July. We may have already started a little bit of drainage work preparing for the projects, but those ones will be probably July's. FY24 starts in July. That's when we'll have the green light. So
Didn't you say earlier once that you may get started on Rice Creek? Possibility?
That is possible. That's going to be a stretch, but we got those 3. We're going to be working on those 3 for sure. And then it kind of depends on what the fall's like. If it's a really warm fall, then there's a chance, but I have a good feeling it'll be probably next year.
Okay.
Scott, I know we've got one resident of Quail Crossing here. Is that on your list for next year?
Let's see, Briar Way.
Yes, next year. Yes.
Yeah.
Randy told me
I
it's
think
been
it'll
on
be
the
the
list
year
for 30
after this
years,
one.
Dave.
Rice
That's
Creek.
fine.
I just talked to him in the hall and I lied to him because I turned the page wrong.
More to get through.
This guy, I lied to him.
33 years, Randy.
Yeah. He said it's been on the 6-year plan for 20 years. 30. Okay. I was about to read through the plan, if that's where we're at in the public hearing process, just to cover. Okay. Well, this 6-year plan is for Prince Edward County. It covers FY24 through FY29. I work closely each spring with the board. We do a work session and go over the county's needs. Just reading through the plan, some of the ones that we've already completed that are on the 6-year plan, because we haven't closed them. We haven't fully closed out the project, just the programming of it. We've already completed 751 Hidden Lake Road, Route 740 Copper Hill Road, Route 628 Mill Creek Road. Last year we got Bolden Flournoy Road, 702, Whispering Woods Road, 744, and Schoolhouse Road, 730. That takes us to where we're going to start this year at 771 Briary Way Road, then Route 780 Old Oak Road, and then 632 Falkland Road. Those are the 3 that I said we got open to charges and we're planning to complete. Then next on the list is Rice Creek Road, starting at the red shop end of it and going down to where the bridge is at. Then 682 Junction Canal from Route 671 to Route 668. After that, we got Quail Crossing in its entirety from Route 613 to 612. We got Lowman Road, Route 647, starting where the pavement leaves off. Coming off 15, there's about a half mile of it already done. So we're going to start where we left off there years ago, and we're going to go to 630 Maharan Road. Route 625, Feather Fin Road from the Appomattox County line to Route 609 Peaks Road. And then we got 668 Bell Road from 667 to 682. And then last on the list is Schultz Mill Road. And I put all the funding that we had left on that one, and we got about 1.6 miles of it done. or is on there. So as long as I got that programmed right, that'll be one. But the board does very well to kind of chip away at a road funding wise until you can get a big piece of it done. If you only pave half of a road, it kind of, I make a joke sometimes, it makes the people on the other half of the road really mad. So I think that the Board of Supervisors with the work sessions has done a great job at year after year being consistent and applying funding to routes, and we've gotten whole sections of roads put on there. So I just have to commend the board at how well they work together on that. That's all I had to present on, unless you guys have any questions for me.
So Scott, do I see that Mud Dusky is totally left out?
We did talk about that, and that's in the notes that I got saved for next year.
So it's in the notes. Keep it in the notes.
It's in the notes. That's what Doug made a point to help say that a minute ago. We're gonna bring that back up next year, hopefully get it added to the list. If that's still the board's pleasure, next year we'll talk about mud dust.
Yeah, Mountain Creek too.
Mountain Creek was talked about in that.
There we go.
Well,
Getting started again. There we go.
Yeah, see? Damn that
corner.
We need to separate those.
Buffalo Church.
Thank you, Scott.
thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
So next,
Close public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
we got, item B.
Just gotta close, you gotta close this
Close
one.
that one. All right.
Close this one, get a vote, and then we'll go on the next one.
We need to read something or just ask for the vote here?
Close the hearing.
We'll close this public hearing. Ask for a vote.
I make a motion that we accept, I make a motion that we accept the 6-year plan as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Dessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
My vote is yes.
Thank you, board. I'll work with Doug to get a signed copy of the 6-year plan and the resolution.
If you wait a few minutes, I can get it for you.
Okay. I'll hang
Actually,
on.
no, we'll get it for you tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Scott. That's
All
you,
right,
Drew.
next, item B.
That's other than the Quail Road.
I'll do the introduction, Mr. Chairman. So back on December 9 of 2021, the Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors accepted the unsolicited proposal of Prince Edward County Infrastructure LLC, PECI, for the design and construction of a water system serving the county. The board made a determination to use competitive negotiations, selecting a contractor to authorize the county administrator to post the non-confidential portions of the proposal and advertise for the receipt of competing proposals for a period of not less than 45 days. The county received no competing proposals. County staff and our selected consultants negotiated an interim agreement with PECI for the development, design, and construction of water treatment plant distribution system consistent with the design builder's proposal and the county's guidelines and procedures concerning the Public-Private Education Facilities and Infrastructure Act of 2002, as adopted by the board on July 8, 2008. At its meeting on August 23, 2022, the board approved the interim agreement for the project. Since that time, the county has expended the maximum of $1 million on the services identified in the agreement. PCI has submitted a draft final agreement to the county. Staff has considered the proposal and has determined with the board's intent of developing a water system, it is in the best interest of the county to proceed and establish a 30-day period for public comment. The final draft agreement has been reviewed by our PPEA legal counsel, Sharon Pandak of Pandak and Taves, PLLC, and our engineering consultant, Tom Frederick of Pannoni Engineering. In addition, the county will want to be in position to approve a contract with the Department of General Services, DGS, for the provision of water to the state's 3 facilities in Nottoway prior to final acceptance and approval of the final interim agreement. Per Section 9C of the county's guidelines, 30 days prior to entering into a final agreement, the county shall provide an opportunity for public comment. Such public comment shall include a public hearing held by the board. Accordingly, at its May 9, 2023 meeting, the board authorized the 30-day public comment period on this final agreement to commence May 12, 2023, and the board authorized the public hearing to be held tonight on June 13, 2023. The recommendation is to hold a public hearing on the final agreement as drafted with Prince Edward County Infrastructure LLC for design and construction of the Sandy River Reservoir Water Treatment and Distribution Project. At this time, we are not asking the board to take any action this evening. We are still working on our negotiations with DGS and also talking with the Virginia Resource Authority about financing of the project. So we still have a couple things that need to happen prior to us pulling the trigger and committing the county for the project, but this takes us another step further along in that process. I believe you have a couple names here signed up in your speaker sheet, Mr. Chairman, once you open the public hearing.
All right, we'll open it. Public hearing now. Wise, W-E-I-S-S. It's R-H-E-T-T.
Rhett.
Oh, yeah. How you doing today? Forgive me.
Can't read my writing, can you? Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Supervisors. I'm Rhett Weiss, live here in Farmville. And you may know that last month, the county and its IDA engaged me and my consulting firm to help on some economic development matters concerning the HIT Park, the Heartland Innovative Technology Park. And even before that, going back a year or so, I can tell you just gratis, when I was helping the county just on my own time and for free, when I started looking into whether data centers or similar operations would want to come to this site, the HIT Park site. Three questions always come up. Many questions come up, but the top three questions are power, fiber, and water, in some order. And sometimes water is the first question. So where's the water? How does it get to the site? Is it on the site already? If not, where's it coming from and how long will it take to get there? And questions along those lines. And so I'm here to encourage you that when, as Mr. Stanley said, other pieces of this are in place and the county is considering pulling the trigger, having a plan, having an agreement, versus just saying we're looking at it, we have different ways of bringing water through the county to different areas. This is really important. This will frankly help me on behalf of the county to be able to say there is a plan, there's an agreement to pursue that plan and ultimately to construct this infrastructure. That may seem like a nuanced thing, even if it doesn't exist yet, but it resonates hugely with the corporate prospects that may want to actually invest in this community and create jobs and increase the tax base if they at least know there's a plan and they know that there's a forecasted timeline to implement that plan. That is much more powerful than just, there are a couple ways to do this and we're looking into the couple ways of doing it. Again, I would encourage you to keep the economic development aspects in mind when the time is right to consider signing the agreement or not. I'm not here to comment on the agreement specifics, the business terms, the financial terms, or the engineering terms, or the legal ramifications. That's not my point. My point is let the other experts advise you on that or advise county staff on that. I'm rather here just to encourage you to think about the economic development aspects and how much this will help the county in pursuing whether they're data center prospects or other high technology prospects or other businesses for that matter that could come to the county and may need a water supply. And the reason it matters for data centers is because of cooling the computers. It's not because the water is used to make drinks or make a product out of the water. It's for cooling. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Peter Gurr.
Yes, I'm Peter Gurr, and I'm for the Sandy River Water Distribution Plan. So basically, it distributes water water to Nottoway, to the mental hospital, the regional jail, and Burkeville, or may even go to the Blackstone. So I'm concerned, so we maybe also extend it from to the Hamilton Seminary College. It may cost about $3 million, but you see, Wawa will build a gas station on the Commerce Road, and at the roundabout of the Farmville Highway and the College Road, there are some businesses. So if we have the running water, so it may make the business more prosper. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. We have anybody called in? Anyone on the phone? No? Anyone else would like to speak on this matter? All righty, thank you. We'll close the public hearing now on this.
Yes, sir, and as I mentioned, at this time, I would request that the board not take any action, but we'll put it back on once we get some of the other ducks lined up.
So no vote needed now.
That's, yes, sir.
Okay. Item 13, next community partner update, Piedmont Court Services, Donald Williamson, Director. Thank you.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name's Donald Williamson. I'm the Director of Piedmont Court Services. I'm sure this microphone's okay. I think me and Scott are about the same height. I'm going to be providing some background information as I go along so for some of the members that are not familiar with our program, Piedmont Court Services. We are a grant-funded agency. The grant is awarded to Prince Edward County by the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services. I reapply for the grant annually. Prince Edward County is our fiscal and administrative agency. Additionally, we collect supervision fees from the probationers we serve to cover costs that the grant, because the grant does not cover everything for our operating cost that we get from DCJS. But Piedmont Court Services basically has two program components. We have local probation and pretrial services. So local probation, essentially, it's an alternative sentencing option for the courts. So we provide probation services, or we continue to provide those services in 9 localities. So that's Amelia, Appomattox, Buckingham, Cumberland, Charlotte, Lunenburg, Nottoway, Powhatan, and Prince Edward. Okay. So during the course of probation supervision, we use what's called evidence-based practices. So the first step in that is we have to screen people. We use the first screening we use is called a MOST. It's a modified offender screening tool that determines initially what risk someone will be a probationer. So that risk is their risk to reoffend. So if they score medium or high, then we conduct an additional assessment that is more detailed, looks at a lot of other factors. That's called the offender screening tool, the OST. Depending on what their level is on the OST, if they're medium or high, then we're going to increase the dosage with that person. We're going to work on some, what was called case planning. Now the DCJS refers to as success plans. So we set some goals. So one that you may, there's a lot of issues with obviously drug use, substance use with people. So we may set a goal for them to abstain from drug use. So we're going to look at different activities, different things they can work through, and we're going to follow up with them to meet that goal of abstaining from drug use. So essentially, our program for the local probation, we're public safety, but we're also trying to help the people so they don't come back in the system. So they kind of, come to us, and we, that reduce that recidivism. So the other thing we do is we also, for probation, we ensure they complete a lot of court-ordered obligations. So some examples could be community service, counseling, in-house groups, random testing. Currently, we teach an in-house shoplifting prevention group. So we get a lot of referrals for petty larceny. And if we look at 2 of our counties that we have the highest referrals for shoplifting would be Prince Edward County and Powhatan. Powhatan has been, you may be surprised by that, but with the new Walmart, we get a lot of referrals, and some of that's been self-checkout issues, people, that go through the self-checkout line. So we have 2 people that are trained to teach the shoplifting prevention group. You have to be NCTI certified. That's the National Curriculum and Training Institute. So I'm one of those staff. There's one other staff member. I actually taught the last class here. We're thankful that the courthouse lets us use the conference room upstairs here to facilitate that class. The other thing I'm looking at for the future is to add a moral recognition therapy group. So that is a moral reasoning group. It's for higher-risk people that maybe have some antisocial beliefs along criminal history, those kinds of things. I am MRT certified. I have one other staff that's been certified, so we're looking for that for the future to expand those services. The other thing staff will do as far as probation is submit written correspondence to the courts if they're successful or non-compliant. When necessary, we testify at court hearings. We enter all our case data, case information into a database. It's called Pretrial Community Corrections Database, PTCC. DCJS is they're working with a vendor now to have a web-based system so we can pull data more easily. Just some quick stats on probation. So at the end of the 3rd quarter, so the end of March, we had, the agency had received 406 total placements for the year so far. And 2 examples of probably common placements that we get from the court would be petty larceny and assault on a family member. Those 2 will probably see more than anything. Our success rates, as far as misdemeanors, is 80% success rate. Our felons as lower as 63%. So that's something, we're working on. As far as community service hours completed, so as the end of 3rd quarter, 6,568 hours completed for the year as the end of 3rd quarter. And then, with the fiscal year and just the end of the fiscal year, just a few weeks away, I'm going to be working on a lot of data and closing out our stuff with DCJS. And then just real briefly, because I know you've all had a long night, pretrial services, there's 2 parts to pretrial services. So we received a grant for the first time in 2021. We expanded to Prince Edward County first because it made more sense to be in our fiscal administrative agency, plus our office is just down the road on 3rd Street. So it's 2 parts to that. There's pretrial investigations where we go in for people with folks that have been incarcerated on a criminal warrant. We go in, we interview them, we ask them different questions. We come back to the office, we do an investigation where we look at employment, substance use history, a lot of this. It's 8 different factors we look at, and we do a risk assessment. It's called the Virginia Pretrial Risk Assessment, and it's been validated and revalidated a few times. But that will tell us their risk of pretrial failure. So we actually make a recommendation to the court as to whether to release them, detain them. So that's provided to the court. And then the other piece of pretrial is actually the pretrial supervision piece, which is making sure that they meet whatever bond conditions. So I can give you an example. We may have someone that was charged with a Schedule 1 or 2 drug, say possession of cocaine, and they were given a $5,000 bond in order to come to us for testing, substance abuse counseling. So we make sure we monitor them, make sure that they complete those obligations. The pretrial folks, so probation, they meet us at least once a month, but pretrial, they come in more often. They're going to come in at least once a week or every couple of weeks. And their court dates are usually, we'll get somebody today and they'll have court in 3 weeks or a couple of weeks. The only other thing I wanted to add was we do have a board, and actually I think it's 2 supervisors as well as Mr. Stanley served on that board. It's the Piedmont Community Criminal Justice Board. We meet quarterly, and those meetings are open to the public. And I also just want to thank my staff. Like a lot of folks, we have some vacancies. We are fully staffed in pretrial, but probation, I really would like to hire a couple more people to, get some more staff for our probation services. So, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks for letting us know. I mean, it's a thank you for your service situation. Y'all are doing a lot of good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I can ask a question real quick. Donald, how are your vacancies looking right now? I know we've lost a few people over the past year, but
Yeah,
y'all
so
holding on?
the hardest impact on us was there were 3 staff members that left within a month or so. One actually went to Chesterfield, the other 2 went to DOC because of the difference in pay. So that is, we're really looking to, if I could get at least a couple of, 2 of those 3 filled, we'd be in a better position than we are now, so, yeah. But the pretrial has been, holding pretty steady as far as those 2 staff. We have a pretrial officer and pretrial investigator. Pretrial, I forgot to say that we do provide an Appomattox. We expanded Appomattox about a year after we started in Prince Edward. And we're looking to expand further, so we'll probably get additional staff when we do start expanding. I mean, I think pretty much every county wants it, the courts anyway, and so they really want the pretrial, because it gives them options for people who have a high bond, but they want someone to be, to see them while they're out on bond, so. All right. Thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, item 14, Courthouse Air Handler, Randy Cook, please.
Back in last summer, VFD broke on Air Handler 1, drove the motor to 100%, broke our squirrel cage fan. We repaired it, drove our drive back to 38%. We've been running it at that since. It broke our squirrel cage again. So to get, the VFD has been on order since last October. It's still not here. Talked to Habitat, and they can replace the squirrel cage. Well, they can't replace the squirrel cage. It's hard to get the parts for that. But through Habitat and Dakin, the repair would be to put this Q-Pack unit in, which is cost $29,702. It's 3 fans that are direct drive, no belts. They will pull the old fan and the old housing out, put those 3 in. You have 3 fans running, so therefore if you have one to break down, you've got 2 others still running. So that would be the upgraded solution to our problem with Air Handler 1, which serves the ground floor and the first floor. So the proposal would be to approve for $29,702.
So moved.
Has a motion?
Second.
And seconded. Bill?
Yes.
Dessa?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Citizens volunteer appointments, please, Sarah.
If I could ask the board members to turn to page 409 in your table pack. No, excuse me, that's not right. That's the compactor. How about turn to page 401 in your table pack? This is an updated chart. And there's one additional citizen volunteer application that came in. So I just wanted to call that to your attention. So the chart on page 401 represents the most current citizen applicants for each position. But the only change was that one application that came in that's on pages 402 and 403. And Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to go through them individually if you'd like.
Quick question, was there a deadline on when we had to have that?
There is a deadline, but quite honestly, I'm going to say it's arbitrary, just so that we encourage people to get them in so that we can try and get them into the main board pack. But the board has never necessarily set a specific deadline. We established a deadline for the purpose of the ad, but it's really just an encouragement so that we can give the board as many as possible in the main board pack and not have them in the table pack for you.
Any questions from the board members? Do we want Sarah to go through one by one, or everybody looked over the group?
Well, we can't look at them as group because.
That's the different.
Yeah.
We gotta go by
We
vacancy.
gotta go.
One.
Yep.
Yep. With the Board of Appeals, Parker's not even.
He opted to not be reappointed.
Correct.
So you have three new applicants for that position.
You want to note, Sarah, you had one applicant that applied for pretty much all our openings. He had two
Yes.
there that applied specifically for the Board of Building Code Appeals.
Right.
Correct.
I know both of those individuals have have some kind of construction background.
So they're gonna discuss this?
Yes, we are.
I didn't hear.
Somebody online.
Somebody online, they asked if they were going to discuss the appointments.
Yes. We're working on the first one now, the Board of Appeals for Building Code.
Yes, sir, Mr. Jones, did you have a question?
No, I was pointing, but they were,
From the heavens.
Who's on the line, please?
Nothing more higher. Welcome to the board meeting.
Hello, can you hear me?
maybe not.
I don't know what
Right
we
now,
did.
David.
To speed this process, I guess we're on the Board of Appeals for the Building Code. It looks like William Gosnell has some extensive schooling, I guess is the word I would use. Does anyone have any recommendations there? Is anyone,
If you get somebody with a master HVAC license, that's pretty good stuff to have on the board.
I'm with you.
Sounds good.
Oh,
So historically, Mr. Chairman, what the board has done often is that you would call, and everybody could vote for, in the case of the Board of Appeals of Building Code, vote for one. For the IDA, everybody can vote for two applicants, and that way Karen can record the vote.
So just go down the line.
If you just go down the list of names, and then for each position, you know how many vacancies, so that tells you how many applicants you could vote for.
So, William K. Gosnell is your recommendation, David?
it is, yes.
All right. We want to vote on him?
I think you could vote on all three, or depending upon how the vote goes.
Any other recommendations? Everybody good with him? All right, we'll call for a vote. Motion and second?
Motion, I made the motion, yes.
Second, anyone?
I'll second.
Made and seconded. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Patty? Excuse me, Odessa?
Yes.
Yes. And my vote is yes. Industrial Development Authority. In office now, Edgar Jones, Joyce Yates. Applicants, we have three.
I move that we reappoint Edgar Jones and Joyce Yates.
Motion's made
Second.
and seconded. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison, you
I'm
abstain?
abstaining from this one.
Patty?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Odessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
My vote's yes. Next item, Social Services Board. In
Move to
office,
I
Reappoint
nominate Karen Shinnebeck.
She holds a position now. Motion made, second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Dessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Mine is yes. Central Virginia Regional Library Board. Carlisle, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 other people applied.
I'm gonna make a motion to appoint Vicky Page.
Motion's made on Vicky Page,
Second.
made and second. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
No.
Cannon?
Yes.
Dessa?
Yes.
And Bill?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Papa Hills Community Development Authority, we got John Gant and Roy Yates.
Move that we reappoint Gant and Yates.
Motion's made
Second.
and seconded. Bill?
I'll get caught up.
Yes.
Dessa?
Paperwork.
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
My vote yes. Board of Zoning Appeals.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, just for note, the board makes a recommendation to the circuit court for this position, so you won't actually be appointing the individual. The county attorney will submit a petition to the circuit court for this appointment upon the recommendation of the board.
Do we have a recommendation?
I recommend Shauna Hunter McKinney.
Second.
So we do a vote or just
Yes, sir. Your recommendation can be an action of the board.
David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Dessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Is Shauna still on the library also? She is Vicky?
On the library board?
Ma'am.
She's the director of the library, and she
And Ham Sydney, but she's on our lot, on the Central Virginia as well.
Item 16, Department of Corrections lease of office space. Doug?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the board, the Virginia Department of Corrections is currently looking to relocate the local probation and parole office, that's the District 24 office, from its current location on Industrial Park Road. They are looking to lease space at a location in the Prince Edward County Industrial Park at a proposed building site. The Board of Supervisors is not required to, but may request that the Department of Corrections hold a public hearing regarding the proposed lease of office space for a new probation and parole office to be located on Dominion Drive at a parcel identified as tax map 3765. That parcel, if you go by the Ag Building and Lowe's is on your right, it's down before you make the 90-degree turn there on Dominion. If the board desires the state to hold a public hearing, the board would need to make a request to the department no later than August 2nd of 2023. So what basically will happen is that a private developer would actually build the building and lease that back to Department of Corrections. But I would say that, a couple of things. One, I reached out to our sheriff's department, who contacted the town police who cover the current location, and they probably averaged a couple of calls a month, nothing significant. There are, I believe, around 20 employees at the current location, and are looking probably to expand to close to 30 full-time equivalent positions. So, I think these are folks that are already working and spending money in our community. Yes, the facility would have parolees reporting, but they're already reporting in our community, and frankly, a lot of them already living here. But it would still be a location that, it's not directly close to the Y or any other youth-oriented facility. It's fairly accessible, probably more accessible for the region, being out there on the intersection of 15 and 460. But I'm happy to whichever way y'all want to go, to notify the Department of Corrections.
The quick question before, you mentioned that a private person, can the county build the building?
We would have to actually go in, I believe, and participate in that process and file a proposal and present building plans and all that stuff. I think the current location is owned by the town of Farmville.
That's the reason why I was wondering if the county could build it and lease it to them.
Yeah, we'd have to move, obviously move quick, but, I think that's you'd have to come out of pocket, say $4 or $5 million, and then, you obviously would get it back, just like we leased to USDA in our building. I think we're a little behind the 8 ball.
Just a question.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're already in the county. I don't make sense to me to do a public hearing because they're already here.
Already here.
They're already here, so I would move that they exempt the public hearing, be exempt from the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, forgive me, I done got tired again.
Yes.
Yes. Patty, yes.
That's understandable.
This is yes.
Yes.
Cannon, yes. Bill, and I'm yes. Let's see here, 17, Finance and Human Resource Report. Cheryl, please.
Good evening again, board members.
Good evening.
Good.
The first item for your pleasure is the 2023 audit. We are currently having the audit completed for our pre-audit services, but attached you will find a contract for their services for this fiscal year. So hopefully you will approve it since they're already doing it.
What page are we on, just because I'm.
341.
I'm with you now.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I'll do better next time.
That's me. You ought to know.
I move that the Board of Supervisors approve the contract between Robinson, Farmer, and Cox and authorize Mr. Stanley to execute the agreement.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Bill?
Yes.
Jessa?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And my vote is yes.
And the next item for your appropriation is the food service funds. The Board of Supervisors has received a request from the Prince Edward County School Board to appropriate the local funds described below for a total of $200,000 for the 2022-2023 school year, and there is no local match required for this appropriation.
So moved. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Bill?
Yes.
Odessa?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
My vote is yes.
The next item we have is also from the School Board for a request from the Prince Edward County School Board to appropriate the federal funds described below for a total of $66,814.51 for the 2022-2023 school year. And there's also no local match for that as well.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Bill?
Yes.
Odessa?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Motion carried.
The next item we have is asset forfeiture. The sheriff and Commonwealth attorney are requesting the board appropriate $1,188.86 from the forfeited assets fund for the purchase of neighborhood watch signs.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Odessa?
Yes.
And yes. And my vote is yes. Motion carried.
The next item we have is insurance recoveries for the sheriff's department. I will tell you that the sheriff's department's vehicles have been involved in several accidents with deer. And so that is what these are from, is the accidents and the recovery for those accidents for the vehicle repairs.
So moved.
Motion made
Second.
and seconded. Bill?
Yes.
Odessa?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Harrison?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion passed.
Next item is appropriation for the VTC ARPA grant. This is on February 14th, the board approved and authorized the contract with Fraser Associates for planning and design services regarding the wayfinding master plan project, which will be conducted in 2 phases. In November of 2022, the $30,000 VTC ARPA grant spending plan for tourism recovery was submitted and approved. This grant will fund Phase 1 of the project and is issued in $15,000 increments. The board is asked to appropriate the first $15,000 received.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Odessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion passed.
Appropriation for tourism grants is next. On April 11th, 2023, Prince Edward County was awarded the Virginia Regional Marketing Program DMO Marketing Grant. This is a reimbursement grant through the Virginia Tourism Corporation in the amount of $20,000. Also in February 2023, the county requested and received reimbursement for the remaining $3,100 from the Eat, Play, Stay grant awarded in 2020. The board is asked to approve and appropriate the following.
Do we have the motion?
So moved. Oh, Cannon. I second.
Made and seconded. Patty?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Odessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And David?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion carried.
And I have one more for you. It's on page 405. It was a late add item from the school board. On June 7th, the county administrator received a letter from the school board requesting appropriation of $1,300,877.67 to the school operating budget. For this transaction to take place, the board will have to authorize a public hearing to amend the FY24 county and school budgets by the amount of $1,300,877.67 and then appropriate those same funds. Per section 13.2-2507 of the Code of Virginia, a locality may amend its budget during the fiscal year. However, if such an amendment exceeds the currently adopted expenditures by 1% or more, then the locality must advertise the amendment at least 7 days prior to the public hearing. The county's currently approved FY24 budget is $69,732,747. Yeah, that number. Which means they exceed the 1% threshold. There is currently no anticipated cost other than the cost of publishing the public hearing notice, and you have attached the draft from, the letter from Dr. Johnson and the draft public hearing notice.
What was this 1 million for, Doug? I guess I should have read that, right?
It's, let's see here, hold on a second.
I got it.
It's, they're all federal, there's a combination of Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, Title V, sped funds, all federal funds that don't require any local dollars. And actually, some state funds for CTE, competitive skill trade programs.
Looks like everything, almost everything is carryover funded.
Yep.
Yeah.
I move that we do the public hearing, authorize the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Bill?
Yes.
Odessa?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carried.
Thank you, that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all, that was a lot.
You've been busy.
Exceeded your allotted time. Terry Atkins Wilson, County Attorney Report, please.
Good evening, members of the board.
Evening.
This month, I guess, the word contracts comes to mind. We've looked at the 2025 reassessment contract. We've looked at several contracts related to the IDA for the industrial development property that we're looking at folks buying and developing. We still have the ordinances that we're trying to whittle away at looking at those and rewriting those. We have one unclaimed deceased body that we're working on, trying to make sure we've notified, if there's any kin, that we've notified them first before we obligate the county to pay for the cremation and the storage of that body. Anyway, if anybody has any questions, concerns, don't know of any other pending litigation, if anybody's filed anything with me. So, any other questions, concerns? All right, hearing none. Thank you very much for the opportunity to serve you.
All right. Thank you, Terry. Next, County Administrator's Report, Doug.
Yes, sir. Doug, before you do, did we skip 25-409 solid waste?
Convenience site contract.
No, we went back to the main packet.
We're back on the main packet. We gotta come back to the.
I'm with you. All right,
Yep, table pack.
Page 367.
thank you.
The first out, and I'm glad he still stayed here this long. He's still awake. On June 1st, Sean Howard started his position as the IT manager for Prince Edward County. Sean is the county's first full-time IT manager. He'll be working side by side with Lawson Headley, our consultant, for the next year as Sean assumes the responsibilities of the position and establishes the department. Over the course of the first few months of the job, he'll be meeting with each department head and constitutional officer to determine needs and incorporate that information into an overall needs assessment. The hiring of an in-house IT person was the top priority of our department heads and constitutional officers when I came on board, and we're happy to have Sean. He comes with 15-plus years of experience in Campbell and Cumberland counties, and we're happy to steal him. And Sean, anything else you want to add?
I just want to thank y'all for the opportunity. I'm trying to dig in where we might be able to.
Thank you.
Welcome
Welcome. Domestic Violence Services, DSS Director Kim Allen and I participated in a regional call with the Department of Criminal Justice Services to talk about the closing of Madeline's house this past year and efforts to identify a local option for services. DCJS says they're working with VDSS to look at options. We stress the need to work with localities as part of this process and not simply give us kind of a top-down answer. With no local resources, our DSS staff is forced to transport domestic violence victims to Lynchburg and Danville and Richmond locations, and it costs us time and money with our staff being out of the county. I know STEPS is interested in filling that role, and we'll work with the state to hopefully take care of that. I did want to note, you'll see this in our bills, but our payments for jurors, for years, they've been getting paid $30 a day, which obviously that pay for gas these days, but it's being bumped to $50 per day, which is a significant jump. That will go into effect July 1, and you'll see that in our bills starting in July. The CRC, our redo, that's the Regional Economic Development concept. The consultants reported to the CRC and regional economy. Prince Edward, like the region, saw a drop in jobs with the COVID-19 pandemic. We are certainly the economic engine of the region, and looking at some of the data, it really highlighted that fact. David, I don't know if you were able to see any of that information or not, but in addition, private sector wages in the region have outpaced the statewide average of the past 5 years. We've also highly dependent on manufacturing and agriculture. We'll be meeting again in June, working on that. Our industrial access road project, if you haven't been by, they got stone down now on the road, and I think next Tuesday they'll start paving on that project. They've been actually out there this week touching up just kind of where they've had a little bit of erosion and wash, but that project is coming along and will be completed well ahead of our August 1st deadline. That project had been stalled, I think, for years, and Tobacco Commission was angry that we hadn't spent the grant funds, and so hopefully we've got everybody happier. At our Rice Convenience site, in the next week, the contractors should be moving in and begin paving. It's actually started landscape installation. The project is slated to be completed by July 1st. County staff will work to relocate from the temporary site at Lee's Retreat Wayside upon completion and acceptance of the project. On our table pack tonight, we've added the purchase of a new compactor. We're currently working on rehabbing the existing compactor unit, and we'll use that until the delivery of the new one. But once delivered, the rebuilt compactor will become our backup. Right now, we have no backup unit. I think last week Darlington Heights was down for a day or two, and so it'll be good to have some options. Soil and Water Conservation District, I participated with the district on their tour today. The tour included the Secretary of Natural Resources and the Director of the Department of Conservation and Recreation. As part of the tour, we visited Glenview Farm out in Prospect, which covers over 2,650 acres of loaned and leased land. About 1,000 acres of that farm is in conservation easement, and great farm. Mr. Glenn's got a good operation out there. We also toured the Buffalo No. 2 Dam on Stockton Lake, and which is, the dam is managed by the Soil and Water Conservation District. Landfill, our landfill engineer Labella is working on design and construction docs for a cell F, which is the next cell to be constructed at the landfill. We anticipate being ready to bid out the project later this fall. Of course, the county uses its proceeds from Buckingham to put in an account to help pay for those capital improvements. Based on our capacity study completed in January, we've got about 3 years life left in the cells A through E. Cell F will provide about 12 additional years of life beyond that at our current rate of compaction. So that'll be for the foreseeable future. We shouldn't have to deal with building beyond that point. We did get a nice check of a little over $85,000 in building permit fees for a solar project out there on Thomas Jefferson Highway. We upped our fees for inspections on solar projects, and that was a pretty significant lift. So we get a couple of those, one or two every year. That'll certainly help offset the cost of operations for our building inspections office. Last thing I just mentioned, out in the hallway, we had to replace some doors, the wooden doors that had cracks in them that the fire marshal noted on inspection this past year that had to be replaced. But appreciate Philip and Randy getting that taken care of to get us back into compliance. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless there are any questions.
I was just going to say that I know that it's been in the news out in Nottoway County that their courthouse is not nearly in compliance with safety. And, you know, I think we're pretty proud of our thing here. Job well done to our staff.
Well, and the board for investing in the courthouse, so thank you for that.
What is our capacity at the landfill now?
We've gotten our temporary approval. We're able to take 300 tons per day right now.
300.
And we were at 175. The permanent increase to 300 should come probably any day now. But we are good to take 300, which means we won't have to shut down unless it's something really unusual. But this year when we had the tsunami, which was town cleanup day and Hampton, Sydney, and Longwood move out, kind of all at the same time, and we got overloaded for a couple days, had to shut down about 12, 1 o'clock, which, you know, certainly puts some of the haulers in a difficult spot. But we appreciate our engineer working and DEQ approving that temporary increase.
Upcoming events. We've got the VACO regional meeting, June 28th.
And we'll be hosting that here at the Moton Museum, 5:30, Sarah, is that?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, okay.
5 to 7.
We've coordinated the food and beverages and the space, but after that, it's on VACO. But
I believe Karen needs RSVPs from board members for both of those. The meeting in August, is it an overnight or is it one day?
It's an overnight.
So those hotel blocks can
fill up quick.
Yes. So if you think you might want to go, let us go ahead and make the reservation. It's easy
You
to
can always
cancel
back
the
out.
reservation. but it's harder to get you one if the block has filled, so. And then, yeah, for the one at the Moton Museum, we just need a head count to register the board members, probably just for name tags.
You got my email, thank you.
August the 17th is the one in Richmond.
Yes, sir.
Karen, I'm gonna do August, because I'm on the education committee.
17,
Yes.
and I'll get back with you as far as other details for that one. Anybody else with a vote?
I'll do more than two.
And it's June the 28th.
I'm gonna do my best to do the motion. It's a tough time, but I'm
I would say pencil me in. I got a lot on the plate next week, but that week was lightened up a little bit. 28th. Let's see, where we want to go from here. We've got the monthly reports.
Monthly reports for informational purposes. Staff, certainly we can answer any questions you might have. Table pack, you've done 23 and 24. Item 25.
Page 409.
409. Sarah, you got that one?
Yes, sir. So the county administrator had mentioned in his report the need for the additional compactor, and this would be one that we would place at the new Rice site, which would enable us to have what I'm going to call a spare, so that then our staff, solid waste staff, would be able to recondition it and renovate it, and then move that one to the problem spot and take that one and fix it. And so it would give us the opportunity to be able to always have one that was in the process of being repaired or renovated, and move them around and keep them operating.
Sarah, is it fair to say, and I know this happened to us at Darlington Heights, our existing units are getting to the age that we can't find replacement parts for them? Or it's tougher to find replacement parts?
So, I think it's fair, many of the board members have been around to say that our staff does a really good job of getting beyond the useful life of all of the equipment. But it gets to a point where it's just impractical, and with the cost and even just the lead time for getting parts. As Randy said, he had to come up with a whole different option for how to keep the chiller, operational here in the courthouse. So they do a really good job, but sometimes it just comes time that we're going to have to buy something new. So putting the new one at Rice would be a start.
This day and time, getting parts for anything is a problem.
Yes, sir.
I move that the board approve the proposal for the purchase of a new compactor for the solid waste department.
Second.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
A question, are we still going to try to repair this one?
Yes, sir. Yeah, this one will come in.
Rotational.
Right, and Jeff and his team will recondition this one and then move it out to the location of the one that's breaking the most. And then they'll move that one in back to the landfill, recondition it, and just trying to keep them operational.
Do you know to work on those too, Sean?
They gotta be on
It has
Wi-Fi.
a computer in it, maybe.
Was a capital expense item, if they were to be put into the budget, are they costly enough that they would be a capital expense item?
That would be up to the capital, yeah.
Well, it really depends on the auditors, where they capitalize them. Maybe not at that value, maybe not. But the good part, when we order now, we've got by the time they show up, it'll be next year's budget. So, yeah.
Motion was made. Who seconded, or did they second?
Yes, in a second.
David second. All right, David, your vote?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Dessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Let's see, got compact item 26 on the addendum packet community development permitting software.
I've got that one, Mr. Chairman. So the county and town planning community development staffs participated in a Zoom demonstration on Cloud Permit. Cloud Permit's a software system that would provide much more modern permit platform for both staff and the contractor community. The software would allow for remote permit applications as well as real-time inspection reporting back to a contractor. Software would replace the current Bright System software that's on the mainframe the county currently uses. If the town and county are both going with the software, which we anticipate that happening, it's an easier transition for the public. The public will be doing one package. We also looked at iWork Systems, another software vendor. iWork was slightly more expensive and staff was more comfortable with the Cloud Permit product. I also think iWork was picked up by Amelia and then dropped, which is obviously not something you look at when folks don't go with it. As noted above, the big advantage of the current permitting software is the ability to conduct mobile inspections. So basically, you're out there with your iPad in the field, you check through the inspections. When you hit approved, it's uploaded to the cloud, it goes to our office. You can also send the email or text to the contractor, so everybody can find out at that point in time that that inspection's been approved and it's logged in the system. Especially folks, we get folks all the time, like coming out of Chesterfield, or maybe they work in Chesterfield or Richmond, and they have to pay for a permit. And they have to come into the office during business hours, and the treasurer's office is open, 8 to 4. If they don't hit that window, you're not getting your permit paid for, and take your receipt and take it up to the office. You'll be able to pay electronically with credit card online and have all that taken care of. So it'll be much easier, more flexible for the contractors. Cloud Permit is new to Virginia. The town of Pulaski is currently the only locality in the state using the software. I've previously been involved in the implementation of a new software product that was, I'd say, about 15 times more expensive than this one, but we had to get it specialized to fit the locality. With Prince Edward being a smaller operation with fewer staff, we feel that we can modify our operations to fit their software. This will allow for a quicker transition to the new software and save on implementation costs. Farmville has indicated they will be moving forward with implementation of Cloud Permit as well. Cloud Permit has agreed to rebate 100% of the software license costs within 6 months if we or the town are not satisfied with the product. So that gives us kind of a grace period there. That's the $10,000 license fee, annual license fee. The $6,000 setup fee we would still be responsible for, but after that initial 3-year period, Cloud Permits cap the increase at 5%. A lot of times they'll do 3 to 5% per year, so you end up with like a 15% markup after the third year. They would only increase it at 5% at that point in time. We anticipate we can cover the year one cost of the implementation of software with existing building inspections and planning budgets, but I don't think you're going to get much better opportunity here to implement this at a low rate with a guarantee. So we're only talking about $16,000. It's below the threshold for my approval, but because this is a reoccurring, the amount's over 20, that needs to go to the board. So that's why it's in front of you tonight.
Move that we approve the request to enter into the contract with Cloud Permit.
Second.
Motion made and second, David.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Patty.
Yes.
Shannon.
Yes.
Dessa.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
My vote is yes.
All right, next, Mr. Chairman, on page 461, the county's bond counsel, Sands Anderson, has provided a draft reimbursement resolution for the board's consideration. The resolution has been reviewed by the county's financial consultant, Jimmy Sanderson in Davenport. The purpose of the resolution is to allow the board and school board to be able to be reimbursed from bond proceeds for expenses incurred prior to the issuance of the bonds for the project. At this time, the school system is currently working with Mosley Architects on preliminary designs for the elementary school project. We anticipate being going out to bid this fall and starting construction next spring. We'll work with Davenport on the timing of sale of bonds for the project to ensure funds are available to keep the project on schedule. This just has to be passed in order to be able to basically pull back and reimburse ourselves for those costs.
So moved.
Motion made,
Second.
seconded. Bill?
Yes, yes.
Jessa?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
My vote is yes. All right, that's 27, 28. Closed session now. So, the legal counsel.
I move that the Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors convene in closed session for consultation with legal counsel regarding the provision of legal advice by such counsel related to properties adjoining the county boundary pursuant to the exemption provided for in section 2.2-3711A and B, A8 of the Code of Virginia.
Second.
Motion made. And seconded. Vote, David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Jessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
My vote yes.
I'm hopeful for 5 minutes.
sorry. I move that the Board of Supervisors return to open session. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Dessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion passed.
Okay, read the certification. Whereas the Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors has convened in closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the board that such closed session was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements of Virginia law were discussed in closed session to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed session was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the board.
Thank you. Is there a second on this?
Yes.
It's been seconded. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Dessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Bill, what do we got here with you?
I think just correspondence, I think
Yeah.
you're right to entertain a motion to adjourn if so inclined, Mr. Chairman.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
So, second. That's how the whole move. Well, you stay in that little chair. Look, you just stay in that
Put me in the little chair.
Okay, we got to do the
All
vote.
right, what is your vote, Cannon?
Yes.
Dessa?
Yes.
Bill? Patty?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
You a two-time yes.
So moved.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know,